there was sort of a lot of gray area over Pac's last days on death row. And there's a part of an interview that I did with you, Napoleon,
Yes,
where I said that I guess Tupac never wanted you guys to sign to death row.
I hear that rumor, but I don't know where it started from.
That's not true.
It's not true because what happened is, you know, Pac was going to do a record label called Machiavelli Records that he said the Outlawz, you guys going to sign to Machiavelli Records. Machiavelli Records was going to be distributed through Death Row. You know what I mean? So Pac, he might have mentioned that I don't want y'all signed directly to Death Row. Y'all going to come under Machiavelli Records. You know, but the media run with it and say, you know, he never wanted y'all to be with Death Row. You know what I mean? It wasn't nothing like that.
Not true. When I went back and looked at the footage, the person who started that rumor was the two guys sitting next to you.
We was never gonna have Death Row chains.
Really? Why is that?
Because Pac didn't see us being signed to Death Row Records. He saw us being signed to Machiavelli Records.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, all them songs we was recording, we didn't sign nothing. We wasn't signed to nobody.
And you never really heard us say a lot of Death Row in the building, you know what I'm saying? I think I shot a Death Row out one time and probably was the only outlaw to do so on Bomb First.
Yeah, I never said Death Row.
Well, even though, I mean, the Machiavelli album came out on death row.
Of course.
Yeah.
So you guys were doing business with death row.
Yeah. I mean, we was riding with them, but we wasn't signed.
Wasn't signed
you
to
know?
him. Okay, I
We
understand.
was gonna be on Machiavelli Records. However, Pac was gonna work that out. He might have did a deal with one of us with Machiavelli Records and Death Row. He was gonna do some shit with Quest and Interscope. He was gonna make this shit work.
Some Wu-Tang type shit.
Exactly.
Because that's exactly what you guys said.
Well,
in the
let me
interview.
clear. I would tell you, I know where you're coming from.
Because that's true and then it's not
Yeah,
true.
that's exactly.
Okay, so
Like,
let's
for
discuss
example-
it now that all of
And
you
you know
are
who
here.
the first person I heard say that? Fatal, years ago when he was not in the group.
No, but
You
it's
know what I mean?
true
But go ahead.
to a standpoint. For example, Pac didn't want us to sign directly to Death Row,
Right.
Because Pac was gonna have Machiavelli Records under Death Row Records.
Absolutely.
Right.
So we was gonna be the artists of his company, you know. So when that didn't work out, that's when we had to no other choice. We decided to sign directly with Death Row.
Right.
So maybe I should have clarified.
It wasn't
that
no
way.
Machiavelli Records.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Two signed to.
Okay, because none of you guys had death row chains.
No.
Nah, because we was always, even around Pac, we would have had an Outlaw chain before Death Row chain, because that's how
Absolutely.
Pac wanted us. That's how we was, you know.
And we signed to Death Row after Pac passed, and Suge was even locked up at the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, it was like we was all trying to get close to that music, not even knowing that we didn't have to sign to them to be close to that music. We was already on all the songs, whatever they was gonna be doing, the songs that we was already on, we was gonna be involved in.
And we was blackballed.
We didn't know the business.
And I was about to say we was
Right.
blackballed and we was off.
Yeah, we was.
We was living in we was living in Faye House, you know what I
we
mean?
was
And-
about- either that or we was gonna be dancing on
Right.
Bad Boy Records or something, man. We had to do it.
Yeah, man.
we had to figure something out,
Grown
man.
man decisions, man.
We had to figure something out, man.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the whole death row Tupac situation, because the Defiant Ones came out recently, and there's sort of this kind of split story, because in the movie there's a scene where Tupac is calling Interscope Records to try to bail him out, and they front
Nah,
on him.
he's calling about his braid.
Okay.
That's, you know what I mean? It probably could have been developed a little bit more, but they was basically trying to show how Pac was locked up, owed money. Remember, this man had the #1 album while he was in prison, the first artist to ever do that.
Yeah.
You know, a million sold back when a million scan was really a million records.
Right.
So that's between $13 and $20 million that he had coming to him. You mean this man don't got the money to pay his own bail and it's only $1.3, $1.5 million? Doesn't make sense.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Now, in the Defiant Ones, Jimmy Iovine and one of the guys from, I guess, Time Warner or whatever.
Now it was Ted Field.
Ted Field.
The actual,
Yeah.
he was the money man behind Interscope because he comes from a billionaire family.
Right.
And so him along with Jimmy Iovine decided to start Interscope Records.
Okay. They claimed that they actually bailed Tupac out of jail and just gave the money to Suge to do it because legally they couldn't be bailing someone out because of all the pressure on gangster rap during that time.
Right.
Now, Daz Dillinger came out recently and said that was bullshit. He did a whole rant about that.
Yeah.
Sorry to
Nah,
swear.
no problem.
What's your take on it based on what you guys know?
I agree with Daz. I think it's BS. Not only because I don't think it's true, but the timing is just real weird to me.
Right.
You know, you got this Pac movie that just came out, and now all of a sudden y'all want to take credit for bailing him out when before y'all kind of like hid y'all hand. Y'all didn't never once came out publicly and said, well, actually Suge Knight never bailed Tupac out. And I have a problem with that for two reasons. One, my homeboy, he believed that man bailed him out and was loyal to that man to the last day, his last day on this earth. You know what I'm saying? Because he felt like that man bailed him out of jail when nobody else was coming to help Tupac out.
Right.
And pay for his mother's house. So being the kind of individual Pac was, he was gonna ride for you to the end just for that reason alone. Yeah. If he knew the truth, according to them, what their truth is, if he knew that, maybe he wouldn't have been so loyal and kept his distance. And then maybe he might still be here. You know what I mean? But we all know that's some garbage because Death Row was the #1 label at the time. In my opinion, Suge had plenty of money to go bail Pac out. And like Dad said, what Suge did was go get Tupac's own money to get him out of jail because they wasn't trying to give him his money. That's the real issue. They owed Tupac money and they wasn't trying to pay him his money. They wanted to control Pac because he was the kind of energy that you couldn't control. You know what I mean? And they can say all that they want now and you know, Tom Wiley kept saying Pac was emotional. He was very emotional, very emotional. Hell yeah, you're gonna be emotional when you got the #1 album on the goddamn charts and they talking about you broke.
Well, to be fair, I just interviewed Money B, right, who was very, very close to Tupac in the early time. You know, once Death Row came around, he said he kept his distance. But what he explained to me that not a lot of people know was that
his first album didn't do shit.
Yeah.
But back then,
and 3 singles, 3 videos,
Yeah.
like they spent a lot of money on it.
they did, but Interscope, Tom Wiley and I think Jimmy Iovine was there at the time, they believed in him as an artist.
I had friends that used to go in on that album. Like my homeboys were like, yo, I know that's your peoples and everything, but he a little regular. You know what I mean? That album ain't all that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Because I mean, now everyone looks at Pac and his whole catalog and it's all
But
platinum.
no, be clear, that to me, that shows like he worked his ass off to
Right.
get better as an artist.
Right. But what I'm saying is that Interscope had enough faith in him as an artist that most labels would have just dropped him at that point. You
Keep
know?
going.
You know what I'm saying? They spent a lot of money on that project, lost a lot of money, and still gave him a chance to do a second album with more singles.
Yeah,
and
because
so
he was a
forth.
movie star at that point. So it's like, okay, you gonna drop a movie star?
Well, I mean,
Most people not.
not every movie star.
That at
has
least gonna get you a second chance.
Okay.
And then the next album goes platinum. You know what I mean?
When
Because
I
I
get
watched
around,
him figure
yeah.
out the system. Like I remember when he said, he came in from the studio one day and said, I got it. I know how to do it now. I do the songs for the niggas, I do the songs for the streets, and then I do the songs for the ladies. And I put them together on one album. That's my thing. And he worked that to perfection until he got up out of here.
Sure did.
And that's what Biggie said that he told him also.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He developed a formula that most of the rappers still use to this day. You know what I mean? All of them still use that blueprint to be able to get the streets and the ladies at the same time. Because up until that point, the closest one was LL Cool J.
Right.
You know what I mean? But after a while, LL kind of lost his edge. You know what I mean? Pac showed him how you can keep your edge and still give something to the ladies, still be political, still be thought-provoking, and sell 1 million records.